Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Does your warehouse waste time and money managing forklift batteries? Enersys can energize your operations with a customized solution, delivering the power you need while minimizing ownership costs. Enersys starts by analyzing your operations and then selecting from their comprehensive range of battery and charger technologies, develops a truly optimized system tailored to your needs. Enersys gives you the power to increase productivity and profitability. See how Enersys puts power in motion for you at enersys.com.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. On today's episode, I am going to be joined by Jeff Scott. He is the CEO and founder at Infinite Peripherals. Infinite Peripherals is working with wearable devices and developing wearable devices for the warehousing and fulfillment space. And we're going to talk to Jeff a little bit about, how did Infinite Peripherals come about and why did he decide to found this company, and two new products that they have as well. And also a little bit about the evolution of wearable devices and how they're really helping in the current labor market and some of the labor challenges we've had, not only in bringing in new employees, but also in the retention of labor as well. So, Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Definitely happy to have you on. Happy to talk about these topics. I think they're very relevant to our industry right now. But before we get into some of those details and things, why don't you tell us a little bit about Infinite Peripherals, what it is that you guys do, and as the founder, as yourself, talk to us a little bit about how you came to this point of wanting to bring Infinite Peripherals to life.
So the company was founded back in 1993, right out of college. And of course, we were doing things different back then. We were just doing distribution of point-of-sale equipment. So receipt printers, pull displays, cash drawers. And that was back in 1993. And as time moved on, we saw the onset of the PDA kind of take center stage and starting to bleed over into the business world. So we brought to market a sled that you would slide the Palm Pilot into, have a hard connection, and be able to provide remote receipts. So it was a more economical, let's say, choice for customers to be able to do that. We worked with a lot of water delivery companies, warehouse management companies, to be able to provide a hard copy receipt, leveraging the consumer device being the Palm Pilot or the handspring visor. And then as time rolled on, we had customers come to us saying, can you support a Windows-based device? And I don't know if you remember the compact iPack. That was a model that was out, and we built a sled that not only had printing, but also a magstripe reader for credit card authorization. And we were working in the airline space 20 years ago doing food on board as well as duty-free, which has now become more of a staple in today's airline world. And then other companies come to us and asked us if we can support signature capture, if we can support barcode scanning. And then BlackBerries. BlackBerry was the business model of choice back in the day. They dominated the industry. And what changed my life and the company's life was in January of 2008. We were at the National Retail Show in New York, and we were in the BlackBerry booth, and we had a solution called Mobile Charge. It was software and hardware, And we had a demonstration where we had product out. We would scan, rang up a total, swiped a credit card, real-time authorization, printed out a receipt. We impressed the powers that be at Apple Retail. Mm-hmm. They really loved what they saw. Of course, they wanted it on their own platform.
Right.
They had a concept for their stores, and they wanted us to come to Cupertino to work on a solution. So over the next 18 months, we did 6 different variations of the product until the final version was approved by Steve Jobs himself.
Oh, wow. And
we rolled out 8,000 units and replaced symbol devices. People didn't realize that Apple retail stores had symbol devices in them as their first generation Easy Pay. We replaced them with our Linea Pro model, which had 4 simple features: barcode scanning, 3-track MagStripe reader for payments, protective case, and a battery backup for extended use in the stores. We rolled out the week before Black Friday, November 2009. Scared us to death, but it went without a hitch. And in fact, and it was only in the U.S., all the store numbers went up in terms of the per ticket and number of items purchased. So Ron Johnson, who was the VP of retail at the time, didn't believe the numbers and asked the team to find the glitch, fix the glitch, and give me the real numbers. Well, after the 4th time of doing that, he realized that they were selling more AppleCare and more accessories, in which the margins are pretty high. And then they realized it was because of the Easy Pay solution and the appropriate associate staying with the consumer. They bought another 17,000 units, and that was our first real flag in the sand into that space. So as an organization, as a company, we've been supporting taking a consumer device and making it enterprise ready. And we've deployed close to 3 million devices doing exactly that.
Interesting. So now it's interesting, to hear the evolution of that. And it's kind of interesting, too, in the idea of you guys kind of followed the evolution of our personal devices as well, and saw, how do we utilize those in an enterprise sense, which I think makes a lot of sense in a way. And, it's really interesting to see how that grew. So now, I guess, talk to us a little bit about how did, coming up with those solutions, and especially that Apple one is a big one. How did that now translate over into the warehousing space, and how did you get more involved in that space?
Yeah, it basically was an evolution of front of house, back of house, and inventory is a requirement from every individual, maybe an individual at the flea market to a large major retailer. So having that ability to understand and leverage the input of that information is key. And so we're seeing kind of a little bit of a transformation of these companies looking at doing more than just a purpose-built scanning device. They want it to be able to serve as MPOS, so mobile point of sale in the front end, and the back end when the inventory arrives, being able to scan in a pallet or a container of products. So for us, we're taking our core competence associated with taking a consumer device and building the peripherals that provide multifunctional functionality to it.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it's really interesting to see how it translates over. And you said something there about expanding the front of house into the back of the house in a sense. And I think we've certainly seen that in the last couple of years here, becoming such a trend for the retail, where we're seeing not only are we having easier payment solutions, mobile payment solutions, like you talked about with the Apple Store, and we see them at places like Target. But it's also now we're fulfilling it from the store itself as well, and people are using those devices to do that picking and getting things out there for customers directly from the store, and different configurations in that sense. And we can use the same devices kind of interchangeably for front and back of house.
We'll be back after a quick break. You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
It allows for training to be transparent as well, because if you take something that you know from home and put it in your hands at the workplace, then training is almost non-existent. And we've seen that evolution occur in a lot of different vertical markets that in the past required a tremendous amount of training. You know, in your home state, we actually work with New Jersey Transit. You know, they leverage our technology for, buses and trains. And, one of the other big ones that we had to overcome, I guess, which is very prevalent in your area, is Amtrak. Right. You look at a customer like that's been, every conductor has an average of 35-year tenure, union, government, and replacing a 100-year-old technology hole punch. That was a challenging one. But when they realized it made their day more efficient, where at the end of the day they didn't have to reconcile, everything was already done through the application, then after the 30-unit pilot, the conductors didn't want to return the devices.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's a good point as well. I mean, I think a lot of times we talk about the technology being easy for new users coming into your operation, but a lot of times we don't talk about the veterans, in a sense, that may be stuck in their ways a little bit, right? So that's a great example of talking about all those different kind of hurdles, in a sense, right? A long tenure doing the same thing for so many years, and now having to get them to change a little bit and do these things is a little challenging in a sense. But the fact that they're able to see the ease of use almost immediately, I think is a key, right? Because if you run into frustration with technology, you tend to dismiss it pretty quickly. I think. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, people want something that's simple and easy, and if you have to spend a day or a week on training and how to use that product, then it becomes very difficult. So from our end, being in a position where, coming from a background of leveraging that consumer device and adding the features that make it universal to a variety of different functionalities, it's been good for us because people want to do more with less.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's pretty interesting, and it's interesting to hear how you guys have evolved these different solutions, and I really like the parallel of how you're using these personal devices and bringing them into the enterprise world. So it's very similar in that sense. So I'm curious, right now from your customers and especially on the warehouse and fulfillment side, what are some of the most requested solutions and problems that customers are facing or coming to you asking for a solution for?
Well, one of the other items that I didn't necessarily mention earlier, but we also took on the ability to do software. So not only do we create hardware, we also do software. And to provide the appropriate utilities, we work with a lot of different ISVs, but in certain scenarios, we'll take on a build because it makes sense for us as an organization. And one of our major customers is actually the U.S. Post Office. So we do the software for the 300,000 mail carriers, which I believe is one of the largest, if not the largest fleet in the world.
Yeah.
It's through that experience we're able to get best practices and understand what their true needs are. And we know that not, one size doesn't fit all. So we try to customize wherever's needed. And so through our customer base, we're able to grab information of what they're looking for. And from a warehousing MPOS state, we've seen the need for customers that want to give their associates a a familiar consumer device, maybe an iPhone or another type device, and say, okay, this is your device to use for communication, for texting, and so forth, and then connect it to this payment device when you're doing line busting, and connect it to this barcode scanner when you need to do cycle counts or inventory management. So it's through our customer engagements that we're gaining a lot of insight in terms of what they're looking for, and we're excited to be in a position where not only can we provide that unique hardware, but also the software. Maybe we've actually built out our own payment gateway to connect as a payment platform, and then as well, we have all the appropriate software utilities to connect into the, let's say, native iOS, native Android, Windows, or cross-platform Xamarin if you're building it to work off of various devices.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to have, because it's it's a kind of like a half and half thing. It's you have good hardware, but then if the software is not necessarily the best that you're putting on there, then maybe limiting the potential of the hardware in a sense. So it's great that you guys have taken on both sides of that. So with that being said, I mean, you guys continue to evolve, I think, as we've seen through the conversation we've had here, and when it comes to wearable devices, you now have 2 new products that you guys are coming out with, and I think there's the Nexus Connect and the Halo Ring Scanner. So talk to us a little bit about each of those individually and how those innovations kind of evolved and what problems they're really solving.
So as a supplier of unique hardware, and people have known us for the Apple sled, born out of what we did with the Apple stores, but we've had to evolve. We do a lot of form-fitting designs that are specific to a specific iPhone or an iPod or an iPad, but as you know, every year new models come out. So What we've done is, with our Nexus Connect, we teamed up with OtterBox, which is, I think, one of the largest, if not the largest, case manufacturer in the world, and leveraged their ecosystem of their universal case that allows us, and I know this is on a podcast, so you can't necessarily see the visual, but I'll show you the visual here, Kevin. So basically, being able to provide this universe case to your associate, and then be in a position to say, okay, you need to now go out there and count. So being able to connect it in a ergonomic, long distance, short distance variable, and then once completed with that appropriate cycle count, be able to then remove it and then drop on an appropriate payment module that then allows you to handle the sidewalk sale, handle the Christmas trees or whatever else may be remote, or sign-ups that are at corporations. We're seeing this, even though this isn't technically a wearable, we see it as a universal type product that would allow you to do a lot based off of one single device that then the appropriate associate can do multiple functionalities with, where in the past it's predominantly been a hard fixed model that has one single purpose.
Very interesting. And yeah, so it's basically like, and is it any phone, or specific to Apple, or
Apple, Samsung, Google? It'll work with any of those phones. So that's the uniqueness, that this platform is consistent, and that when a new model drops, OtterBox has the ability to turn the case very quickly, so then it just expands into the next generation. Not that you have to keep up with the Joneses and always have the next model, but knowing that it'll be supported and the platform for payment and the platform for scanning are in place, then you just need to bring in that appropriate case that will then work with it.
Yeah, very interesting. So, yeah, I mean, for the listener, I mean, it's basically, you have your standard phone with a case on it that looks just like a normal case, nothing like crazy or bulky or anything like that. And it's basically sliding into these different modules. One module being a handheld scanner, similar to what you would see as a regular RF scanner, but basically the phone takes the place of the screen and gives you the ability to utilize that, as you said, for cycle counting or scanning, whatever the case may be. And then you just swap that out for a different module, which is like a payment card swipe or insert, right? And so it's very interesting and very, very flexible, and I think gives you the ability to reduce probably the amount of devices you need overall for your company, because you can switch them and the utilization of them, and gives you a lot more flexibility. I think is very cool. And so the other thing too that you guys are working on, and I think this is not necessarily out yet, or at least not on the website. No. You said, right? So
it's not on the website. We did a soft launch where we showed the functionality at the Modex trade show.
Okay.
And got tremendous response from it, and we're actually going to be deploying the production model of this version this month.
Oh, very nice. All right, so that's our Halo Ring scanner, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So this is our first actual wearable where it was designed. It's an Android all-in-one device that has an OLED screen.
Okay.
That is unique in the sense of there are other ring scanners that are out there, but they're Bluetooth, and they need a supplement device to house the information. May it be a device on a cart, may it be on a wall, because we've seen a lot with our customer bases that require the ability to have real-time information, but also the ability to use both hands. So this was designed to be able to scan and then take action. So if you're doing a sortation and you need to put this at a specific route, then you can scan it, you can grab the package and then move it to that location. Also, for let's say if you're at a grocery store and you're picking to a specific curbside pickup or delivery, you can, let's say, scan the appropriate item, and it'll give you positive feedback that that's that's what was ordered, right there on your hands. So it's the efficiencies of having the ability with one hand to be able to scan, to have the details, and also to take action. So if you're picking something and it calls for 4, but there's only 3, we actually have 3 programmable buttons that allow you to go, okay, I only have 3 of those, so then you can put in there that there's only 3 and make those changes on the fly. So we're really excited about it. It weighs 3 ounces and very compact, and as mentioned, it's that autonomy to be able to grab something and have full use of hands without having to put it down.
Yeah, it's interesting because, typically like a ring scanner you would see is like on the, like a single finger, right? Or there's some other stuff maybe that's like on the top of the hand. And this is actually like covering 2 fingers in a sense, and when you're ready to use it, you just kind of pull it in, like make a fist, and you're going to scan. And it also has the screen right on there. And I definitely like the idea that it's not having to be attached to another device. Like it's not just performing the scanning function. It has the screen on it as well that's giving you the information and giving the ability to do what you need to do without having to wear something either on your hip or your wrist or headset for voice or anything like that. So it's pretty flexible, and definitely can see how it gives you that ability to take action, as you said, without having to put the device on, but still having the screen if you need to double check the information or something like that. I think it's really, really smart. So it'd be interesting to see that rolling out.
Yeah, and it's, as mentioned, with the programmable buttons, you can go through the different applications. It has the appropriate touchscreen, interchangeable battery, because we know that's a big part of being in the field,
right?
And it's IP65, so it's durable. And as mentioned, being 3 ounces, the positioning of it, it's in the neutral position. You don't have to turn your arm or pronate as you do with some of the other models that are out there that are Bluetooth only, that require you that pronation. So in terms of from an employee health scenario with carpal tunnel, we think that based off of our studies that this would be, a better ergonomically positioned product for that picker and sorter.
Yeah, absolutely. I can certainly see that, and it's interesting because the motion that you have to take, I think, with this one versus some of the other solutions I've seen or used is certainly a little more natural, I think, to what you would be used to. I mean, it's almost like, if you're gonna point your finger at something, it's kind of that same type of motion, except the scanner's on your finger, right? So very interesting stuff, and it's great to see how your evolution has grown, and now you're able to bring these different devices and take the knowledge that you've gained from all these other experiences and put them into solutions that really help not only us in the warehouse environment, but also the retail environment, as you mentioned, and multiple different scenarios for businesses. So really interesting to hear about these new products and infinite peripherals overall. So Jeff, I'm really happy I got to talk to you today, and thankful for you to come on the podcast and discuss these things. So if people are more interested to learn more about infinite peripherals and learn more about these new products as well, how can they do that?
Yeah, feel free to send an email to info@ipcmobile.com or visit our website. As mentioned, the Halo Ring, it has not yet been officially launched. It will be later this month. Our Nexus Connect is front and center, and we look forward to working and helping any customer that's interested. May that be an ISV, may that be end user. We're here to help and provide our knowledge based off of what we've done to make them more successful.
All right, great. And we'll put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well. And we'll try, maybe we could get some pictures of the new devices as well that we can put on the website too to share. But definitely interesting things coming, and great to hear about the launch of the Halo Ring Scanner. I'll be looking forward to see how that rolls out into the market, and also how the Infinite Peripherals continues to evolve. So Jeff, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.